Bang! And we're off. Okay, tunes. Let's start with some tunes, everybody. While everybody gets here. Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be a little too loud. Let's get something a little more fun. That's kind of 60s, 70s, 80s throwback. And little old school something. Okay. We got it. Starting with some Credence. Hello, everybody. Hang tight while we wait for everyone to trickle in here. And how's that bill looking? Looking super flat, buddy. Okay, let me pull up the chat board here. So, how's everybody doing? Hanging in there, I hope. Hopefully you had a good week. And everything's been good for everyone. Let's see. Okay, so let's go to the classic live stream. Pull this up. Glad to see there's some people here for the new time. Bad stream quality, so hang tight. Hopefully this will get better, but we're in there. All right, awesome. So welcome everybody. Let me close this door because this echoes terribly out here. If I don't close that door, then we get a really bad echo. All right. Welcome everybody to another live edition of Making You a Bartending Pro. My name is Jason. Cheers. Glad you can make it. Good to see you. I have little band-aids on my hands. Busted my thumb. It's getting crazy. So, can I raise this chair? I feel like I'm sitting really low. Maybe I'll just tilt you guys towards me a little better. There we go. No, not so low. I've told you guys I've started getting into like downhill mountain biking. And I took a spill the other day. And up here where I'm at, riding up Mount Bachelor in Oregon, there's tons of lava rock. And I just had like a tiny little washout. But I rolled into like a pile of lava rock. So I got kind of shredded up a little bit. All good. This is the worst thing really, the thumb. So that's manageable. Anyway, how was your guys' week? I know I didn't really see anybody last week. Still in the middle of that moving thing, settling in, but I got to do another trip down south to grab the cats. Yes, that sounds ridiculous, but we didn't want to drive them for 2 days and drug the shit out of them, so we're going to go down and get them and fly them up this weekend. So, that's what's going on in my world. Why is this not letting me... Here. Let's see if I can get this to come up on the chat board. It's really slow. Okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing everything. My man's shaking the house. Cheers, buddy. So, this is a change of pace. We're shifting these a little bit earlier. And that's just because this is more convenient time for me in my life. I'm sure it will take a little while for everybody to kind of realize this. So I anticipate there might not be a whole lot of people here right off the bat. So we got Susie DeLisi in the house, Katharina Gausant. I love butchering names on here. I do apologize. Robin Gilbert, Susie DeLisi, what up? How are you? All shaking the house. Pays the Gator, yo. Robin Gilbert, I hope you're feeling better. Also important for a bartender to exercise in order to tolerate the long shifts. Absolutely. Exercise is important for whatever you do in life to help you be doing a better job at it. Live long, strong, and prosper, right? So anyway, on these, it's just kind of a open format Q&A. There is no agenda. There is no plan other than I sit here and answer questions. We don't have to talk about bartending, although we usually do. So you just kind of throw stuff out. Otherwise, I'll just ramble and meander talking about crashing on my bike. And so yeah, have you been out to the bars lately? Anybody get a job? Anybody get fired? Anybody see anything crazy at a bar? You know, hopefully, maybe something. Who knows what's going on out there in the bar world? Nothing too crazy in my situation, other than the thumb thing. And shifting these a little bit earlier. The house is coming along, so my forever home should come into existence about the end of September, in which point I have a little studio room that's actually designated specifically that I'm going to set up and build in a cool little kind of bar set up. We'll see what it actually ends up looking like, but I'm going to put in a little studio in a room there, so I'll be able to start making regular videos again, because we've been on a hell of a run here, about a year or so, just doing live streams. That's crazy. But it's been really helpful, actually, even though I've been away from making regular videos, because it's been fantastic to be able to talk to you guys, because there's a lot of stuff that I've realized I need to hit a little bit better, because there's a lot of the same questions that come up over and over and over on these live streams, which is totally cool and totally fine. You guys can ask me the same 3 questions over and over on these things if all you want. So, but it's been good because it will give me an idea for kind of a direction of things moving forward. I think I'm going to, yeah, we'll just leave it at that for now. So this has been great stuff. So anyway, yeah, if you guys have anything that you would like to discuss or ask me about, then feel free to throw that out. Shake, how are you in your new job, my man? I know you got a new gig thing going on, right? Hopefully that's going well for you. Katharina, and if I say your guys' names wrong, I do apologize. I do get that wrong sometimes, but I try to not sound like an ignorant American piece of shit. Let's see. Do bar managers care if you have a food handling license certificate? Absolutely, Katrina. Katrina? Is it Katrina? Katrina? Most, actually, I gotta turn this down. This will rocket, man. I'll get this video flagged for using music I'm not supposed to in the background. The food handling situation in most states, and again, remember, most of my experience and knowledge comes from United States-based bartending. So most of the states, you say my name correctly every time. Sweet. Katrina. Awesome. So the most states require some sort of a food handler's card to be able to work. Not usually like a big deal if you don't have it, and it's not like it's a massive selling point in getting you the job if you do beforehand. Just kind of a tedious little thing that you can check off. If you feel like your resume is very skinny in terms of industry-related experience, that's something that you can put on there. So I do like it in that regard, but I don't think it is something that will be like a massive selling point in a hiring manager wanting to pick you up, because again, it's just a pretty basic thing. I mean, most places you go in, there's a little booklet you study for half an hour, and then you take a 25 question test and you're out of there. But it depends on the state. So some states might be a little more strict. They might have a more elaborate and in-depth, kind of test. So look into that depending on where you're at. So there you go. David Apodaca coming in with weird emoji comments. I like it. We'll show that. It's all good. Just having a good time. Got to keep it clean, but, hey, the inner 5-year-old never dies, right, David? I feel you, my man. And the inner 5-year-old never dies. So, yeah, I'd say you'd be good to get it Katrina, if you know you're gonna get in the industry, you might as well do it anyway, right? Because, fuck, you're gonna have to do it anyway, so you might as well go do it. But really, as I always like to say, the most important thing for you guys to remember is not to get too caught up in what you know or what you think you need to know, right? So look up the regulations and stuff that you might have to do depending on where you live, depending on the state, depending on the city, which you should just be able to go to the state.gov website or the city.gov website and look that stuff up. So you can start working on that stuff. But generally, most of your time should be spent working on getting out there and trying to network and meet the people that can give you an opportunity to get started. Because it really comes down to, like everything in life, who you know. Now you can get lucky with timing, but a lot of that luck comes down to if you're on top of mind from somebody, like if you're going out and you're working a list of places that you've dropped resumes to, if you're continually following up with them every couple of weeks or whatever, or whatever feels natural and not harassing, then they're gonna, and anytime something comes up, they're like, oh, hey man, call that, Katrina girl or David guy. They've been coming in looking for something. If something comes up, that's the whole point of getting out there. You're better off spending your time knocking on doors and getting to know people, like hanging out, shaking hands with the managers, than you are holed up in your house studying recipe books for hours and hours and hours. Much better time spent shaking hands, knocking on doors, even if you know absolutely jack shit, nothing. Way better for you to knock on doors and get to know people than to study a bunch of shit for days and weeks and months getting ready, because you could have missed an opportunity. You could have missed several opportunities in that time. And it just helps get that kind of fear of and anxiety about just going out and applying. It makes it a lot easier. So, Jake, doing well. Went up mountain Sunday night for a job on Monday. Had a 3-hour drive back last night. Oh shit, man. One of these days I'll have to catch him and get the dirty details about what you got going on, buddy. Let's see, David Apodaca. Hey, got asked today for a whiskey highball. Pretty sure that's what it's called. Haven't had a chance to look it up, just now remembering what's in that one. So the old school highballs are usually like just whiskey, soda water, and like a sweetener, like simple syrup. But the actual, let's see what comes up when we search it. Because there's the highball glass, and there's the highball drink recipe, and which is confusing because the highballs, you'll see them usually a lot of times made in like a short glass, which is weird because the highball's generally like kind of a tall glass. So let's see, highball recipe from Super Call. What are they calling this here? What are they saying? They're saying a Japanese highball. That's not what we're looking for. Well, I don't know. Let's see. It's not your average whiskey soda. So there you go, whiskey soda. That's basically what I've always understood a highball to be, is like whatever they're asking for, soda, and maybe just a tiny bit of something to sweeten it, which could be sweet. I've seen sweet and sour. I've seen soda, like Sprite or a little splash of Coke. I've seen a little splash of Sprite and Coke. I've seen just a soda, like soda water, like carbonated soda water, dash of bitters, and a little splash of blanking today. Simple syrup, for fuck's sakes. My brain is retarded, apparently. So let's see if we can find another one. The Spruce Eats, those guys are pretty solid on a classic whiskey highball. They're calling it, what are they saying here? They're saying whiskey and ginger ale. All right, so there you go. Put some whiskey, fill it with ginger ale. So that's why I guess some of those classics you've seen that are kind of splash of Coke and Sprite. It's basically like a bartender's ginger ale, right? I think That'd be pretty good. Esquire. How does Esquire make their highball? Very fancy. Club soda. So they're just saying it's basically liquor and soda. So it's basically roughly about a 2 ounce pour, ounce and a half to 2 ounce pour of whatever liquor they want in a tall, slim glass, or maybe even a short round rocks, kind of a highball, or a bucket, tumbler glass, soda water, and maybe a little something to sweeten it. But it's mostly the liquor and the soda. So how to make the perfect highball. Let's see, they've got, this one's looking quite snazzy. They got the whiskey, stir it approximately 10 times to get the perfect, stop it, I don't want to sign up for your thing. What did I say? What does he say to stir it 10 times? I want to see why they say to do that. Hold on, I lost it because the damn pop-up. Stir it a few times, blah, blah, blah. Where the hell did that go? Did I make that up? No. Oh, stir approximately 10 times with a long-handed muddler to cool both the whiskey and the glass. Top with another ice cube, broom again, chilled soda water. So it's basically a whiskey soda. So there you go. That's a highball. Not too exciting. I generally tend to put a little sweet in mine. So I basically do like a whiskey soda with a little tiny splash of simple syrup. And then put like a lemon twist on it or something. So, Kaya, how do you handle asking for IDs when you know someone is over the age versus someone who might not be? I find myself asking for anyone's IDs that looks under 35. It sucks, but also better safe than sorry. Absolutely, Kaya. 100% you're supposed to ask for IDs if you're doubtful at all, plus a few years just to be safe. So, the funny thing is like, the people that get annoyed about this are usually the young people. And so the way that I would kind of diffuse this if they seemed slightly annoyed, with a smile and being friendly about it, I would basically tell them, it's like, hey, one day we'll stop asking, or something to the effect of like, I know that might seem like an inconvenience, but someday I might stop asking, and that will bum you out more than me asking for your ID right now, or something to that effect, right? Letting them know that, hey, I'm asking because you're still a young, hot thing. Someday you might not be quite so much, and I won't ask, and that will bum you out more than me asking you now. So the people, that's why I say it's like the young people, they're like, I'm old enough. You don't need to ask for my ID. I'm so mature. Versus when they get a little bit older and we stop asking, then they get really bummed. Like we went to the grocery store, me and the missus, yesterday, and just to grab a couple of things, and we had like a 6-pack in there, and she was all bummed out because she's like, I don't even get carded at grocery stores anymore. And I said, babe, I got like gray hair coming out the sides here, so it's like your husband person is obviously well above 21 years old, so although she is a little bit younger than me, that's what I do when people get bummed out about me asking. It's like, hey, someday I'm not going to ask anymore, and that's going to bum you out even more. So kindly let me check your IDs, please. And then the other fun one is like if like say like a daughter, mother, grandma team comes up, and you really are only concerned about the daughter because you're like, I'm not sure. So you're going to card her, but you don't want to just card her and not the mom and then not the grandma. So if you card her and not the mom, then it makes the mom feel bad. Grandma could really care less. She knows she's grandma and she's older. But I like to card all three of them just because it doesn't bum out mom. You're covering your bases with the daughter. And grandma, it's like, shit, when's the last time she was carded? And she'll go like, no. And I'm like, yeah, let me see it. Come on, bust it out. And you can have fun with it. So I will, if a group of women come up, right, and I do apologize if this is offensive to anybody. I'm not trying to like say anything bad about the state of women's, whatever. I'm just saying that I know that I've seen it be a thing where people get sensitive about this, and so I'll just card everybody. And you start from the young ones all the way up to the ones that are obviously don't need to be carded. But if you just blanket card everybody, you're covering your bases. And for those at the very top end of the age spectrum, you can have fun with it, right? You're like, I don't know, let me see, Grim, bust it out. So anyway, you gotta have fun with it. But yeah, don't ever feel bad about checking IDs, Kaya. That is absolutely one of our main jobs. David Apodaca. Yep, there you go. Super simple on the highball. I love to joke with people, tell them they got to work for their drinks. Yeah, banter. Banter is how you build rapport with your customers, which is what you want to do, right? And sometimes there's a fine line where some bartenders will push it too much, and you're like, all right, this guy's a fucking jackass, and it becomes annoying. So you gotta be careful and have acuity to that as well. Although, no offense, sometimes people are just uptight about that shit. So you're like, whatever, man. I'm just trying to have fun. But banter and building rapport with your customers is super important, because that is specifically how you build that relationship, that rapport with them, so that they get to know you, you get to know them, you become bar friends, right? And then they come back, and that's how you build your following of locals. That's how you get a lot of people coming in to see you, rain, shine, a Monday night or a Friday night, it doesn't matter. They're coming in because they like to hang out and hear your jokes, right? Or just talk shit about sports or whatever it is, whatever you build your relationship on. And then once you do that, then it's good for a couple things. One, because it builds in consistency during your own shifts. And so that's where you can get that kind of steady income. You know that no matter whether it's busy or not, whatever the fluctuations are during your normal establishment, to a certain extent, right? Each place has its limits, but you can kind of build in your own sort of set standard of locals, isn't the right way to say it, but there's going to be a certain amount of people that your locals that will come in and see you on a fairly regular basis. And so you don't have to worry about, it's like, it's going to be completely dead. But that, Bob, Tim, Susan, Betty, Monique, and Chelsea and Tim are coming in, right? Because they always come in during your shifts. So, and just on those ones alone, you're going to make at least $70 or $80 or whatever, right? So you can kind of build in that sort of, it's like nothing's ever guaranteed, but it's sort of consistency in your locals. And that happens from you building that relationship with them. Now, this is also good because it is really what you're trying to do from the bigger picture for the business itself. And that is what makes you valuable to your boss, to the establishment. So if they can see that you're bringing people in because you're creating relationships, creating these fun, unique experiences, then you become a real asset. That is how you start to work into better shifts, how you work into seniority, how you work into management, is doing those things. So beyond just having a good time and joking with them, like legitimately, this is important stuff if you want to consider yourself a true pro and understand the nuance of what you're doing here. Susie DeLisi, amen, hallelujah. Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, could use some help. All right, Susie, I feel you. I know Wisconsin is one of those states where they require you to have a certification, which is sometimes confusing because they call it bartending licenses. So whenever I say bartending licenses don't exist, it's always people from Wisconsin are like, bullshit, they don't exist. So the thing with from what I understand, the liquor certifications and serving bartending licenses or whatever down in Wisconsin are essentially responsible serving certifications. Now there are bartending schools that will intermix the learning to pour and drink recipes along with getting this certification, and so that can be double effective, right? But there's also places where you just go and anybody who is a server is required to get this, and not all people go to bartending schools. But that kind of gets to a different subject about bartending schools, which is not what we're talking about. So I don't know if there's a specific question about getting some help in Geneva, Wisconsin. Am I saying that wrong? Geneva? I don't even know. I do apologize. Never been to Wisconsin. All I know is that they have that licensing certification requirement for anybody who serves booze to anybody. Bartender, server, cocktail waitress, anybody. So let me know if there's a specific question that you had about that. Now we're coming up on right about our 7 o'clock regular live stream time, which actually I'm going to give it a few more minutes before I give that shout out. Remember to follow us on all the social media stuff at Bartending Pro on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Main ones are just here in Instagram. I don't really go on Facebook, don't really go on Twitter. I use them for link purposes, which I won't go into, but best place to catch me is here. And I don't know why the lights are flickering, but hopefully it's the aliens and not the Russians. Anyway, don't talk about Russians, man. It's a sensitive subject. Kaya, love your channel. Has helped me a lot since bartending. Working in Maine as a bartender, about to move to North Carolina. Any advice on how to get a job when moving? Online, wait until in person, call and ask. In person is always best, Kaya. Although I do think that you should use the online assets as best you can. So I think I should have a video about how to find bartending jobs online. Right, Shake? Have a look on that. I know I have a blog post about that on bartendingblueprint.com. But always in person is always better, right? In person is the best thing that you can do. Absolutely. Go meet the people, shake their hands, the owners and the managers, because those are the guys and girls that are going to give you a shot. And if they know you, then you have a much better chance of them giving you that shot versus if they don't, right? So I am absolutely 100% adamant about you can use what other, about specifically online. Okay, cool. I know that I have a blog post about that, but that's good. That means I will make one about that. So let's go. I'm gonna do a screenshot of this. Oh, hey now. Come on, computer. There we go. My phone doesn't work right now, so I'm kind of like a little bit handicapped. Let's see. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of that, Kaya. Okay, cool. So anyway, yeah, get out there in person. That's the best thing you can do. Absolutely best thing you can do. Did I not have? I swear I had a. Let me pull up my YouTube here. Let me take a look at my channels, videos. I thought I had, would have been an old one. What would I have called that? I know I have that on my list. Let's see. It would have been. Not. I believe you, Shake. I just thought I had a little something. No, did I lose it because I clicked off? Anyway, use all the assets that you have, and then that's not it. Definitely follow up in person and go in person, because that is the most important thing to do. that's not it. That's not it. This would be... I thought there was an old one. No, maybe not. Let's see here. Let's see. Update. No, it would be a few years back here. Let's see. I'm looking through these real quick. Hang tight, team. I'm trying to see if I can find that one, and I don't. Okay, I don't think it's here. All right, so that's good. That gives me a reason to make that video, right? So I'll do that one in the future. But yeah, you can use Craigslist, you can use staffing service, normal, like, you know, Glassdoor and whatever job sites you can think of. But really, in person is best, absolutely. All right, so I wanted to do a quick little, we'll give it a few more minutes because it's only 3 past and most people are used to me being about 10 minutes late to these things. I do apologize, so we'll do about 10 past. I just was gonna give everybody a reminder that we're doing these half an hour earlier than normal, 6:30 instead of 7. Stella Fairbanks just finished bartending school. Is it a kiss of death for getting a job to admit it? No, right? It should help. What you don't want to do is, if you go in and you understand that you've gone to bartending school but you still don't really have experience, that's okay. If you're trying to go in as like, oh, I have this experience and knowledge because I went to bartending school, then that's when you're liable to have people kind of scoff or, you know, not, yeah, you know, they won't believe that. They'll just kind of laugh at you. They won't laugh at you, but they'll, managers and bartenders and owners understand that bartending school does not equate to experience, because they can only teach you stuff like drink recipes or theory about how liquor or beer or wine or whatever is made. There's something that you can't replicate, and that's the customer service element, which is actually the single biggest part to the whole thing. So that's why bartending school doesn't carry a lot of weight, because it's not about the drinks, you know. It's about, the reason experience is important is you understand how to handle people when you've done it for a certain amount of time, and you understand how to handle those times when it's busy or when people are being bitchy or rude or, you know, impatient. And when you do it for a certain amount of time, there's just certain things that are really hard to learn until you actually do it. Now, when I was a bar manager, I appreciated, despite what some of my videos have said and some of my stuff on my website says, where it seems like I'm very anti-bartending school, which depending on the context and the situation I can be, but I do appreciate that you're taking the initiative and in educating yourself about a profession that you want to get into. So I appreciate that as a bar manager. So it shows me that you're committed to this. So even if you don't have experience, it shows that you really want to learn, that you really want to do this. So I do rate that higher than someone that just comes in with no experience at all. However, for the reason that I said, it doesn't still equate to direct experience. So I think as long as it's you're understanding how it's useful to you, that it's basically a paid practice of sorts. You know, you're getting some knowledge about how to pour and some drink recipes and stuff, and you get a little bit of a practice because you're making drinks in front of your classmates and whatnot. So it's a little bit of a kind of a mock test run. Then that's good. But just know that that's basically what you're getting out of that. And so I think if you go in and you just highlight the facts like, hey, look, I know this isn't experience. I really want to get into this, and it gave me a starting point to start to learn stuff. But I know that I still just don't have any experience. Or you can, you know, do what other people do and they lie about their experience. which is one way to do it, which I don't advocate one way or the other. You need to do what you need to do to get a job, and I don't care, right? I'm not going to judge you for what you need to do to survive. But yeah, I wouldn't hide bartending school, but I just wouldn't try to highlight as like experience, if that makes sense. Hannah Skaden, tips for layering drinks. You know, I'm not a layer master. The concept of heaviest to lightest sometimes work, but there's weird fluid dynamics where sometimes you'll go heavy, light, and then heavier again, and sometimes the heavier will float on top for some reason. But definitely, you know, kind of spoon the stuff, you know, you hold the spoon upside down and you're pouring very slowly over the top of the back of the spoon and just slowly raising it up as you pour it in there. So you're trying to not disturb the layer underneath it. That's another actually good video, Hannah, that I will do, is about how to properly layer drinks. I think I have an old one, but I don't really go into it in much detail. Steven Vargas, what's up, brother? Good to see you. I got my safe server card in June. Good for 3 years. Woohoo! Good job, Steven. Cheers to you. Hello. Taking initiative, making things happen. All right, so we're about 10 minutes past. Just want to remind everybody, we are shifting these live streams about a half an hour earlier than we have been doing them. Just for personal reasons, that's easier for me in my life. And trying to, actually 6 o'clock would be optimal, but I'm just kind of doing it slowly. Or do you think I should just rip the Band-Aid off and shift this completely to 6 o'clock altogether? What do you think? Because that would be great for me, actually, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I know that might be a little too early for some. Some people still might be in traffic coming home if they're on the West Coast. I know that's probably better for anybody who's on the East Coast or anywhere that's not close to the West Coast time. But anyway, at the moment, doing these at 6:30 instead of 7 o'clock, shifting them a little bit earlier. So let me know what you think about that. And congrats on getting your server card there, Steven. David Apodaca, good managers. Did I miss part of your question there? No, good managers. I like that. Good managers are good. Stephen Vargas, 2 weeks left in culinary class. Would like to bartend someday, food and beverage. Nice. Well, you're definitely... there's a light that's like flickering in here and it's driving me nuts. You're on the path to definitely be a extremely well-rounded professional. Almost said professional in the food and beverage industry, having gone through safe serve classes, and you're in culinary class, well on your way to a like kind of mixologist style person, if that's what you're aiming for. So that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Congrats on that. And yeah, so what else is happening out there in the world? I know we're like usually 10 minutes just getting started, and we're about to give last call for this thing because we shifted this from 6:30 to 7:30. So we're gonna throw that out now. A little bit of a last call notice for questions. So if you're hanging out, watching, if you have a question that you would like to ask, please throw it out there. And remember, the best thing that you can do is get out there and start knocking on doors, pounding the pavement. My 3-part getting the job, 4-part getting the job mini-series, how to get a job, no experience. Talk about how you want to find a circle of places within a 30-minute range of where you live, hopefully, preferably. And then you want to go make a list, if you can, depending on where you live, if it's more urban or suburban or rural is going to be more difficult. But you want to try to find a list of 20 to 30 preferably, 40 or 50 places if you can, within 30 minutes, or maybe depending if you live somewhere a little more rural, you might have to stretch that to an hour, that you can, a list of 20, 30 to 40 or 50 places that you can go knock on the door and drop a resume. And then you go drop that off. 1 week later, you need to go through and follow up with all those places. Now, I know this sounds like a lot of work, and ask anybody who's gotten a job, or if you're looking for a job, or if you recently changed job. Many of you watching this are likely about to do this, or maybe in the process. Getting a job is almost a full-time job. It basically is a full-time job. So I know it's a grind. I understand. I appreciate it. I've done this myself many times, but it is what you have to do. So go drop all those resumes. 1 week later, go follow up with every single one of them. And I have that little mini series on how to get a job without experience playlist that Shake just put up, so you can check that out there. And it goes into tons of detail about all this whole process. So make sure you watch that if you have not, everybody. Follow up a week after you drop them off. Follow up another week after 2 weeks after you dropped your resume off. Then I cut it back to about 2 weeks. So your third week, your third follow-up should be about 4 weeks after you initially dropped off your resume. Right? Does that make sense? So you drop it, 1 week later you follow up, 1 week later you follow up again, then 2 weeks later you follow up a third time. 2 weeks after that, you follow up a fourth time. Now, at this point, if you do that, you are doing more than 97% of your competition. Most people don't follow up once, very few follow up a second time, almost nobody follows up a third, and absolutely nobody follows up a fourth time. Then after that, you want to cut it down to every 3 weeks or 4 weeks or so. So depending on, you should, by that point, you should start to get a read on people. Now, I think you should keep doing this even if you get a job at a place. Unless it's you just get lucky and you get a job at your dream bar right off the bat. So if you get hired, let's say on your third follow-up, you've been watching a bunch of the videos on this channel and you're starting to do the stuff that I recommend, look at my playlist. It is definitely organized in a way that helps kind of step-by-step this for you, especially that playlist that Shake just put up. And let's say you get a job on your third follow-up at a place, but it's not quite what you were hoping. Take it, start working, start getting experience. You don't have to work there forever. Stand on that job, start getting some experience, but keep following up. You can reduce that list down now, like if you got a job, right? You can kind of shrink that list down to, like, say, the 5 to 15 or 10 places that you really want to work. So now you don't have to follow up with 30 or 40 places. You can kind of just shrink it down to like 5 or 10. But continue, even though you're working, even though you got that job, continue to follow up with the places that you really want to get into. Because just because you got a job doesn't mean you have to stop looking for a better job. And this is how you leapfrog up the ladder into those really good places. And whether by intention or just blind luck, this is how people get into those favorable, preferred bars. And then once you're, working at a place, you're getting experience, you're learning this thing, you might start to realize, like, oh, actually, this is a sports bar kind of a place. I actually want to go into like fine dining. Or a lot of you guys I know from looking at my statistics on my viewers are young, so you're probably looking at like the nightclub scenes. Like, I really want to get into the nightclub scene. I could make a case against that, but I definitely think that if that's what you want to do, you should go do it. So keep chasing that stuff. So keep following up. Keep getting it going. Colin Powell. Oh, wait, hold on. I'll get to you, Colin. I missed a couple questions above you, so I want to keep this in order so I don't miss anybody. I'll get to you, Colin. Hang tight, buddy. Sean Simonu. What's the best bar atmosphere to you? I'm currently in a sports bar. What's your preferred setting to bartend in? Fine dining, bar, pub, club, etc. Thank you, Sean. I was kind of piggyback on what I was just talking about. So me personally, I've done everything. I've done dive bar, I've done fine dining, I've done the nightclub, I've done restaurant bars. Um, One of the restaurant bars was kind of a sports bar, but not directly a sports bar. But me personally, my favorite is actually out of all of those the restaurant bar. So, what type of restaurant depends on your personal preference. I it really for me it doesn't really matter what type of restaurant. Anything that's kind of has sort of a fun, maybe a late night scene, like maybe it's a sports bar, or like one of the places I worked at for a long time was like a Mexican theme bar, but it was like on the beach, and when there was a solid late night scene around it, and we always had, we'd have DJs on Friday and live music playing a couple nights a week, so it wasn't just like a standard Mexican bar, restaurant. But I like restaurants. Me personally, that's what fit my lifestyle. I did the club thing for a while, and it just didn't fit because I like to get up early and do stuff. I like to get up early and go surf or go be active. And so when I'm working until 4 or 5 in the morning, watching the sun come up, that's not conducive to my lifestyle. Now, it's a lot of fun working in those environments. You can make some good money, and you get to see lots of beautiful people, serving them when you're at work, but it literally turns you into kind of a vampire. So I didn't like that scene. I like the bar scene in restaurants, in a good busy restaurant. What up, Deja in the house? Cheers, girl. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Because the restaurants have kind of a built-in business, right? With the food, people coming in to eat, there's just this kind of level of built-in consistency that is great. And it is something that, like, if, like, say, like with fine dining, not so much, but definitely like nightclubs, they're only usually hot 1 or 2 nights a week. And so even if you're slamming out, $1,000 or $1,200 out of just a like absolutely mental cranking fucking nightclub, if you're only working there 1 or 2 nights a week, that's still a pretty good living, right? Some people are like, hey, fuck, if I was making $1,000 a week working at one place, great. Those are high numbers. Those are not going to be super common. Those are going to be really hard to find. But you're usually, what a lot of bartenders do that work in that environment is they'll work at a couple of places. So they'll work 1 or 2 nights over there, they'll work 1 or 2 nights over there, and that's how you make it work. And that creates its own sort of chaos. The other thing with like the younger nightclub scene is that your time is limited, because you don't generally see that. If this is something that you see yourself doing long term, as you get a little bit older in your days, longer in the tooth, it becomes much more difficult to hold on to those positions at those really late nightclubs. Both for just personal energy that it takes to work in that environment. When you get older, you're like, fuck, I don't even want to do this anymore. But also just because the people that are going to those clubs also want to see young, beautiful people behind the bar, as the owners and managers understand this as well. And so that's why that's usually what you see. So keep that in mind. But me personally, I like the restaurant scene. Good, solid, busy restaurant with a good, solid, busy bar. Because there is no age limit for you personally as a bartender. There's tons of built-in consistency because of the food. It's also easy to up tabs when you add food and then drinks and then food and then drinks. It's easy to get somebody sitting down, even if it's just a couple, to $100 and something tab, which is $20, $25, $30. So you can do that all night long, and it's just a little bit more of a mellow environment. You can actually talk to people on occasion. As fun as the crazy nightclub scene can be for just like pure pumping energy, sometimes you want to just go in and coast. So that's my personal preference, Sean. Lamb chop. No, I made that up. Lamb cho. Oh yeah, no, lamb chop XOXO. Sorry, my brain is retarded. Last call for questions, y'all. So remember, I'm switching these times earlier to 6:30. We're starting these live streams at 6:30 now. So that's why we're doing last call now, because I started a half an hour early, so we're finishing a half an hour early. So if you got a question, throw it out. Any favorite bartending stories? Oh man, that's always a tough question. My favorite ones are not appropriate at the moment, but I think honestly that my favorite bartending stories are just what comes to mind are all the friends that I've made while working, and then all the stuff that's happened after the fact, right? So direct bartending stories, there's just fun, you know, standard stuff of having good times with friends at work coming in to visit you. So the friends that you make and then the friends that visit you while you're working. That's probably my favorite stuff, which I know isn't sexy and exciting and probably what you're looking for, lamb chop, but from my doing this for a long time, that's my favorite stuff about this gig. Colin Powell, okay, we got you, buddy. I got a new job. It was to wash dishes down the street from my house, but there seems to be more room for growth there. Want to move up to bar manager. What should I be doing to get there? I know it's stressful. For you, Colin, it's all about showing yourself as a valuable asset to the company, to the establishment that you're working in. Doing what you need to do your job, you know, beyond, you know, obviously being on time and not calling in for bullshit reasons to not work, and covering shifts for other people. Just being it sounds cliche as fuck, but being a team player is huge in this industry because most people are just lazy as hell. Be willing to do other things, especially if you want to be a manager. You should be interested in things beyond just the bar. So be interested in doing serving things and food running and busing and being a host. You know, anything you can do in other positions. And also just keep an eye on what's happening around you. Like, make sure that you're getting an equitable shot. You know, if you're seeing other people that are doing a shitty job, not doing as good of a job, but they're getting promoted around you, which happens because there's a lot of favoritism in this fucking industry. If you see that type of shit happening, then, you know, start pounding the pavement again and get the fuck out of there. If you be the squeaky wheel is the other thing too, mainly, is let the managers and owners know your intentions. So I always say the main reason that I had a lot of success is I was always the squeaky wheel. I always let them know, not complaining, but let the owners and managers know your intention, and then every so often just continue, let them remember, like, don't let them forget. They're like, hey, my intention is to be a bar manager here someday. And they might laugh the first time they hear, like, oh, okay, man, good job, keep it up. But if you keep on with that rhetoric with them, eventually it'll sink in. It's like, hey, this guy's fucking on it. And then they'll start to think about it. So you plant seeds, and that's what you want to do. So keep keeping on, be a valuable asset, be a team player, and you'll get a shot, hopefully. Deja, it's all about the cocktail. What up? Deja, oh, half an hour earlier? Didn't know? Got it? Yeah, I know. I tried to put a little video up yesterday about doing these at 6:30. I like the inappropriate ones. And so with that, we'll call it last call for questions, y'all. Officially, speak now or forever hold your peace until next week. Shifted these from 7 until 6:30. So 6:30 West Coast, United States, Pacific Standard Time. That's 7:30 Mountain, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. Honestly, I would like to do 6 p.m., so let me know what you think about that, but it might be too early for some people. Good news is my forever house, home, whatever you want to call it, is almost done. The end of September, it looks like. So almost there, and I'll be able to build up my studio and start making regular videos again. So this has been great, because I've been able to talk to you guys about what you want to see, because I get the same questions over and over. And I'll be building that out and starting a whole new deluge of content in the standard format of, you know, being shot and edited and all that kind of cool stuff, not just the live streams. All about a cocktail. What rum do you like for mojitos or daiquiris? I like whatever rum is close by, my man. I don't know. I don't really have a preference on rum. I'm not a rum guy, although I do like me some mojitos. Just a decent one. I don't really care. I'll ask them. It's like, make it with, you know, call level or better. So it just depends on whatever they got. I just tell them, like, just don't give me the cheap shit with a bunch of added sugars and colors in it. But yeah, I wasn't a rum guy. Customers that were rum people in my bar, they loved the Bacardi 8. So that would probably make a pretty mean mojito. Just basic Bacardi, be all right. But I know there's many craft producers of rum that I'm missing. So if you're a rum connoisseur, I do apologize. And with that, we'll call it good tonight, kids. So thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you, my man Shake, for moderating this. So remember, next week, 6:30 instead of 7. I'm going to do this. And following all the social media stuff at Bartending Pro. That's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, but the main ones are just here in Instagram. Have a good week. Get out there, knock on some doors, pound the pavement, follow up, get to know the people that can give you a shot. That is your best chance of getting into this industry. Remember that this is about customer service. This is not about how many drinks you know, how many drink recipes and cocktail recipes you have memorized. Just focus on the customer service element. Work on your public speaking skills. Go join a Toastmasters, because I theorize that the anxiety that you feel about bartending has more to do with your fear of being in front of people than it is actually about what you don't know. So I think if you work on just going and getting used to talking to people and being in front of people, it'll make this transition much easier. So that's it for this week. Thank you guys for coming in. I'm Jason. This has been making you a bartending pro. I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Get out there, kick some ass. And I want to hear some good stories about you guys getting stories next week. All right. Cheers.